septic systems up in Adams and Arapahoe County. We do every child care center you see is inspected by us at least once a year. So anything child care, we do those on a regular routine basis. We also do swimming pools. So not like apartment complexes and your backyard pool, but any kind of public pool, rec centers, health clubs, mobile home parks, things like that. So we inspect all those pools twice a year. We also do a lot of water sampling, air sampling, and we take tons of complaints. So, if you get sick and you think it was from a restaurant and you call us and it's in my area, then, I go and check out that restaurant. Or anything, fuel spills, or you see a tanker truck flip over on the highway. One thing I'm involved in is our after-hours response team. So if those things come in, we'll respond to those cleanups and assist to make sure they're cleaned up the right way. And that's kind of, an overview of some of the bigger programs we do. But environmental health is a huge area you can get into. So if you're interested at all in, anything from a restaurant management to all the way to environmental factors and things like that in your community, then it's kind of cool to look at what local health departments do. It's something that I know I never realized. But yeah, mostly we'll focus on restaurant kind of kitchens for you guys, obviously. But you see a lot of crazy stuff out there, and there's a lot of people who want to lie to you and hide things from you and stuff, and they know how to play the game, and we'll play it with them. But really, one thing you should know if you work in restaurants is if you're honest with us, we're always going to be honest with you, and help you figure out the best choice of what you should do if say a food's out of temperature or a cooler's broken or anything like that. So one thing I stress to you is just be honest and have integrity when it comes to serving food and things like that. If you wouldn't feed it to your grandma, then don't serve it to anybody. That's what we tell people. So, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that come up, and stories to tell and things. Is there anybody that has anything you want to ask now before we tell you a story or two? Yeah, go ahead.
Have you guys ever went to a restaurant like Incognito and put the mustache and food or something?
Similar, if places do really, really bad, sometimes because we have 7 of us in this office, we'll usually send somebody who's never been in there before, and then that way they won't recognize you. Because sometimes you go in a place so many times that they won't fix stuff that as soon as you get there, they know what they're supposed to be doing, and they'll start stashing everything, moving everything around. So they'll know if it's you as soon as you walk in. But if I send Colin in and he's never been in there before, and he just kind of wanders into the kitchen, sees what's going on, you can kind of get a little better idea. I mean, we don't really have to go too hardcore with it because we can always send somebody different in to, tell them the same thing. But that's what's kind of fun is places so if you're a health inspector, you're allowed to be in a place, at any time to do an inspection. So sometimes if a bad place pops up, we'll go in at an hour before they even open and just pop in the back door and see what's going on,
What's the worst place you've ever been to?
I don't know. There's a lot of bad ones. There's a lot of good ones too. But
where would you go out to eat? That's what I want to know.
Corporate chains. No, a lot of the mom and pop places are, good food, but some of them just have no clue of what it means to serve safe food. So, they may have a great recipe from, say another country somewhere, and it's great, but it's not prepared in a safe manner, and if your stomach's not used to it and things like that, then you really shouldn't be serving it. So those are some of the biggest challenges, are just kind of getting through to people who have language barriers where they have no idea what you're saying. First of all, I mean, how do you communicate something to somebody who has no idea what you're saying? And then second is, just a lot of times people just don't know. It's not that they don't want to do something that's going to make somebody sick, they just don't know the right way to do it. So I always tell people we're educators first and then enforcement people second. So we always try to give people the benefit of the doubt, educate them, let them know what the right way to do it is, and show them hands-on before we ever, find somebody or shut somebody down and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I've walked in places before, there's no running water at all, and they're just cooking food, making food. So, think about that. How do you wash your hands? How do you wash produce? How do you properly prepare food if you have no running water? If people go to the bathroom, can't wash your hands. It's just Things like that, you know, well, and it happens a lot, more than you'd think. I was in this place one time, I walked in the front door, and, you know, one thing we always do is we show our badge, let them know who we are. You know, they say, fine, go ahead, do your inspection. So first thing you always do, and you guys should know this, when you go back to the kitchen is you wash your hands, right? You know, because you've been out of the kitchen, so when you go back in, you wash your hands. So I went in to wash my hands, and I just started. Their bathrooms were up front, so I just kind of started because we peek in there to make sure there's no sewage on the ground or you know water's not leaking. So I go to wash my hands, and I'm not getting any water, and then I noticed there was somebody in the stall, and I didn't pay much attention to it. You know, I was like whatever. And then all of a sudden, I saw like this little shrimp like come flopping out of the stall, and I was like, okay, what's going on in there? So I banged on the thing and asked the guy, I was like, what are you doing in there? And he had a bucket of shrimp and he was washing them in the toilet. And and I asked him, I said, why the hell are you washing these shrimp in the toilet? You can't do that, you know, like you idiot, what are you doing? So, and then he goes, well, we don't have any running water. That's the only water we have is in the toilet bowl. So we still have to cook for our customers, you know, and you know, it's new to the country and stuff, but I was like, you know, at home you would wash things, you know. I'd rather you don't wash them at all and cook them than do something like that, you know. So, and I swear that's a true story, you know, like, yeah, you walk in and see things like that, and you know, and take a step back and think, okay, hang on, you know, all right, no, if you don't have water, don't operate, you know, don't do anything, you know, especially don't wash things in the toilet, because that's your only bowl of water you have. Yeah, you know.
That's something special.
Yeah, that's when you get the chef's special shrimp, that's what you get. No, I'm just kidding, it's not. But, you know, that's why we go in places, though, because if, you know, we don't go in and educate these people, that could make somebody really sick. Another big thing that we see a lot is like, you know, cockroaches and mice and stuff in kitchens, and that's why you keep your spices and everything that you have, flour and sugar and stuff, covered in a container, because, you know, we'll take a black light sometimes, and if you see mouse activity, you know, I don't know if you guys know, but mice pee everywhere they go, so when they walk, they pee, like constantly. So if you take a black light and look at, you can see where they've ran on, and, you know, you'll shine it in the spices, and they'll just be glowing under the black light, you know, with mouse pee and poop, and you know it's terrible. You know, but that stuff happens all the time. People are just like, oh, it's just a little mouse. You know, it doesn't matter. It's just some sugar. But
the school does have a mouse problem.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. Well,
I think we do have a couple black lights.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm sure he knows the general areas where they like to hide.
Oh yeah.
We can try. That would be a fun email statement.
Yeah.
Be in here.
And that's kind of the thing too, you know, it's kind of, you know, there's two sides, like you have a few mice because you're in the middle of a big field, okay, that's normal, but you got a bunch of them running around the kitchen, you don't do anything about it, and you don't clean up after them, and you don't protect the food, big problem. So, kind of have to think and just use common sense, and I tell people all the time, common sense isn't really that common, and I don't know why, but it's not. But if you see something that doesn't look right, or you notice something, then do something about it, you know, and that's what we try to educate people on. And kind of tell them there's a lot of factors that can make people sick, but if you see something that's blatantly not right, let somebody know about it. You know, that's the first thing they should do. You know, I've been in all kinds of restaurants, you know, they'll, like, I'll see people all the time. They'll go to the bathroom, like an employee, they'll come right back into the kitchen and won't wash their hands. Sometimes I'm in the bathroom checking the water, and they'll come right out of the stall past me and go right back in the kitchen and start working. And I'll be like, dude, what are you doing? You know, why would you do that? You know, you're making food for people. I wouldn't even do that at my house with my own food. Why would you go serve people food like that? So, I don't know, it's a lot of education, and it's semi-stressful sometimes, but you just have to realize that people don't always do the right thing, and not only because they don't want to, but just because they don't realize it, or they get scared that they see us, and they go, oh no, you know, he's watching me, I'm all nervous. But, you know, just do the right thing, you know, do the things that you can to help make people stay, you know, healthy. Don't contaminate the food by being an employee or working there. You know, that's the last thing you want to do. I don't know, you, since you've been here, have you seen anything that has kind of opened your eyes on anything?
I think one thing is, if you walk into a restaurant that looks immaculate, you still don't know what the kitchen looks like.
Oh yeah.
You know, remember walking to a place that looked pristine and heard that it had a cockroach problem. So and then there's other places that, you come into and, you think it's going to be a wreck just by, how it looks on the outside, but, people work hard to keep it clean, and so that's what I always like, when people just keeping things clean, that's helpful to us, so we don't have to write so many things down. But I haven't seen a pest yet. I saw like a little water bug in an ice bin, and that might have been there because somebody stored their personal food there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we look for in ice bins, is people put their little soda cans in there. But I've seen mice droppings in dry storage areas and in bathrooms, and so it's hard to keep pests out a lot of times.
Yeah, it's true, and that's a good point too. Just because you walk in a place and it looks immaculate in the dining room, a lot of places spend all their money on the dining room because that's all most people see. And you can go in the back in the kitchen, it's a disaster. So, it's always, not always as clear as it looks. You walk in a place and go, oh, this is nice, But yeah, those are good points. And, personal hygiene is so important, when we, we'll go back in the kitchen in a minute and I kind of chat with you about, kind of things we look at and just wander around a little and kind of show you some things from our sheet that we use to check off violations that people have. But, the things that are the most important are the things that aren't facility, not floors, walls, ceilings. Cleaning is important, but it's the hygiene and what the employees are doing. So that's the main thing we try to look at is, what's really going on with the employees? What are they doing? Are there sick employees working back there? Are there people, coughing into food and not washing their hands and things like that? I always see, in today's day and age, people on their cell phones all the time in the kitchen. Well, they do a lot of studies every year at the state with cell phones, and they're twice as dirty as any toilet seat in the school you have here. So public toilets are twice as clean as your cell phone as far as bacteria goes. So if you're playing on your cell phone in the kitchen while you're making food, it's tempting to check a quick text or, whatever. But if you're not washing your hands and you're going right back to food prep, you're basically exposing whatever food you're touching to everything that was on double of what's on the toilet seat. So it's important, personal items. Don't hang your coats and put your shoes up on the storage shelves or everything you've stepped in all day and stuff like that. So, it's the little things that you think, what's the big deal? I just hung my hoodie on that rack. But it's food and people eat it and you don't really know where it's been. So, make sure you don't contaminate things with your personal items and things like that. It is important. Like Colin said, don't be storing stuff and, drink ice and stuff like that. It's just not a good idea. So, just as we walk around and you kind of look at a few things that we're looking at, just realize it's mostly the employees that make people sick. So, but yeah, it's about all I had to kind of chat about. If you want to roll on back there, we can do that. Yeah. Cool.
So while you guys kind of get up and